Rich Vega started the final 97 games of his career as a four-year basketball starter and left the program as its all-time leading scorer and as a two-time All-New England selection. A three-time first-team All-Little East combination guard, Vega scored just under 1,600 points in his career, and as a sophomore, led the Warriors to the conference championship and to the NCAA tournament. He was named Little East Tournament MVP that year, averaging 16 points, 7 assists, and 5 rebounds. Vega scored 923 points in his final two seasons, with nearly one-third of them coming from the foul line. Vega led the Warriors in scoring, assists, steals, three-pointers, minutes, and free throws in 3 of his 4 seasons. Last summer, Vega was inducted into the New England Basketball Hall of Fame in Worcester, gaining entry into the Division III men's player category.
At the Division III level, recruiting is about building relationships that will last over time. I saw Rich Vega when he was a sophomore at National Power St. Thomas More Prep. Head coach Jerry Quinn always had good players, and Rich was obviously no exception. He was a floor general, a leader who exuded confidence in all aspects of his game, even at a young age. I allowed myself to dream for a few minutes, thinking, wow, what a steal this would be if I could get him to come to Eastern. My next thought was, how can I hide him so the larger scholarship programs don't swoop in and carry him off? From that point on, I spent a lot of time at St. Thomas More, watching practices, games, and getting to know Rich. Our relationship grew, and we were fortunate to beat out the many suitors and have Rich attend Eastern. From the time Rich Vega stepped onto the campus, basketball at Eastern changed. Rich brought a different swagger to the team, a confidence and passion that was contagious. He was our starting point guard for 4 consecutive years, leading us in points and steals. He had no fear and welcomed every challenge. I enjoyed watching Rich play, from his ability to make the key shot or penetrate and drop off a sweet assist, to playing the passing lane and coming up with the steal, or simply his overall ability to frustrate opposing players and coaches. Rich was a complete and exciting player. While I was fortunate to have the opportunity to coach Rich, I also learned a lot from him. I was then, and still am, a Rich Vega fan.
I think Rich is the epitome of a Eastern Connecticut State University success story. You know, he really came from very humble beginnings, and to kind of become the man that he's become today is amazing.
One of the best players I ever played with. Very deceiving, but one of the most effective game time performers I've ever seen.
He was a kid that got buckets, and he was a kid that got buckets not being overly athletic. He wasn't overly tall, probably 6 feet, and he certainly wasn't muscular in any stretch of the imagination. I think Rich was 150 pounds. He might still be 150 pounds. And he wasn't very boisterous. He wasn't very loud or flamboyant. He was just somebody, as we coaches say, who got buckets. He scored, I think, in a variety of ways. He shot the ball well enough to make you respect him from 3. He was a little bit of a throwback player in that he had a great mid-range game, and I thought that really, really helped him make it through college too, because he did go to the rim and he did go to the foul line an awful lot, but he also was able to score from that 8 to 15 foot range, which allowed him to take a little bit less of a beating on that slight frame.
Whether it's pickup or whether it was a game, couldn't stop him. You couldn't stay in front of him, and if he wanted to get to the hoop, it did not matter how many people knew he wanted to get to the hoop, he would get to the hoop. Just watching the speed that Rich took off with and how fast he was able to maintain that speed, I mean, it was kind of like, it was silly. I remember thinking, I was like, wow, it's like wide receiver speed. It was just kind of so fast, and I just wasn't expecting that from him, because that was one of my first experiences with Rich. I was like, excuse my language, I was like, where the did that come from? It's just kind of like, holy cow.
He was a very egotistical basketball player. I think Rich, there was a deep confidence in himself. I remember playing at the YMCA in Hartford years after he had graduated, and seeing Rich playing out in the YMCA, and he was still the same player. He was still getting his shots up. He was a high volume shooter. But he played in college and I think his whole basketball life with a deep, quiet confidence in himself. And so when I say he was an egotistical player, I mean it in a very positive way, that he had a deep belief in his ability to score the basketball.
Rich was always able to stay calm, no matter what the situation was. I remember tournament after tournament and big game after big game, and we all kind of gravitated towards Rich and waited for his lead and for his command out on the floor.
In late game situations, you wanted the ball in his hand, whether that was going to be a buzzer beater from a half court or race up the full court and try to get you a basket late, like he did in a very memorable game in a quarterfinal game against Keene State in the Little East Conference tournament, where I remember Coach Davis, calling a timeout to set up a play, and then leaving that timeout and telling Rich, get the ball and just score it. Rich makes the shot, everybody surrounds him, guys from the team, people from the crowd. The baseball players are all pulling at him, and again, Rich is 150 pounds soaking wet. And I'm just reaching into the crowd trying to pull him out because I know we got more games to play and I don't want him to get injured.
Some leaders would be very vocal, and some people lead by talking, and he was an exceptional leader by his quiet strength.
At this time, it is my pleasure to present as a 2014 inductee into the E-Club Hall of Fame, Richard E.